Hello, tonight our video is on rounding decimals. So let's start by doing these two examples. So please write these on your paper and then show the work just as I'm showing it. Alright, so this first number, 3 and 45/100ths, we are going to round this to the nearest tenth. So the first thing I do is identify the rounding place. 4 occupies the tenths column. So I'm going to identify that, and then I'm going to look at the number to the right of the rounding place. If that number is greater than 4, so if it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then I'm going to round the 4 up. If it's not greater than 4, I will leave the rounding place the way it is. So here we have a 5, which is greater than 4. Therefore, I'm going to round the 4 up to a 5 in the tenths place. So this decimal becomes 3.5, and then I'll drop the digit that's in the hundredths place because we're rounding off to the nearest tenth. So there's the answer for the first one, 3.5 or 3 5/10. Now look at the next example. Same example, except this time to the right of the rounding place we have a number that's not greater than 4. So in this case, I won't change the value of the tenths column. It's still going to remain a 4, and then I'll just drop this number off my number. I'll drop the 4 off the hundredths place, and my answer would be 3.4. All right? Okay, let's try some more. Round each decimal to the nearest hundredth. All right, so I'll do the first one, and then I'll have you pause and do the second one. So the first one, the hundredths place, is this first 6 right here. Let's look to the right. If this number is greater than 4, which it is, I'm going to round my rounding place up one number. So I'm going to round the 6 up to a 7. And then I'm going to drop the 6 off in the thousands place. So the answer is 9 7/100ths. All right, pause your video, do the next example, then restart to check your answer. Welcome back from pausing the video. The 2 is in our rounding place. We're going to look to the right. This time the number is not greater than 4. So I'm not going to round the 2 up. I'm going to leave it the way it is. And then I'll drop the 4 off my number. So the answer is 4 82/100ths. How'd you do on that one? Okay, let's try some more. Here we have an example, round to the nearest thousandth. All right, so first of all, identify the rounding place. Which digit is in the rounding place? Well, if you said 9, you're correct, because 9 occupies the thousands column. Now let's look to the right. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, if you said we're going to round the 9 up, you're correct, because this number 5 is greater than 4. So now let's round the 9 up. Now, if you remember doing this in bell work, remember that 9 is going to round up to 10. But we don't have room for 2 digits, so we're going to put a 0 in our rounding place, and then the 1, we're going to add it onto the hundredths place. So 5 becomes a 6, and I'll drop the number next to my rounding place. So the answer is 10 260,000ths. Okay? All right, pause your video and round this number off to the nearest tenth. Then restart to check your answer. Welcome back from pausing the video. We are supposed to round to the nearest tenth, so the 9 is in the rounding place. I'm going to look to the right. Okay, the 8 is greater than 4, so 9 rounds up to 10. But as before, the 9 would round to a 0, and we'd have to add the 1 to the next place value over. So 8 becomes a 9. So our answer was 9.0 or 9 0/10. So how'd you do? Okay. Okay, here we have a self-quiz. Write down all 3 problems. Round each decimal to the nearest tenth. Pause your video, then restart when you're finished to check your answers. Welcome back from pausing the video. So the tenths is this first decimal place to the right of the decimal point. For our first answer, the number to the right of the tenths column is not greater than 4, so we'll leave 5 the way it is and drop the 4. So the answer is 4 5/10. For the second problem, the number to the right of the tenths column is a 9, which is greater than 4. So we round 9 up to 10, which means we put a 0 in the tenths column and then add a 1 to the ones column. So this ends up rounding up to 7.0 or 7 0/10. And then the third answer, the number to the right of the rounding place is greater than 4, so we round the 7 up to 8, and we drop the 6. So the answer was 8/10. So how'd you do? Okay, very good. That's all for today. And remember, read some books.